I was given the case file for Clare N. Wells. He was committed in as an inmate at the age of 15 to the Whittier State School for Boys. I found this very interesting due to the time and placement of it. He was arrested and put into juvenile detention center around the time of 1916, 1917. This was also around the same time as child welfare laws began to change, therefore leaving a lot of 15 and 16 and 14-year-olds out of work, not being allowed to work in factories or being overworked for certain hours. I was hoping to find out more information on how this affected families and if this increased the amount of delinquents or otherwise youth entered into these juvenile detention centers, and if it affected the economy and somehow led to more issues, or if this was just an ongoing situation from beforehand. I had noticed that already there were a lot of teenagers around this time being put into asylums and juvenile detention centers due to either state officials or just overall narrow mindedness and very different views from what we have today. I was given originally just his name and his inmate file. I found very little information. I found his mother's name was Elena Wells, and she was in fact listed in for his parental information. I have looked into her name and tried to find out if there was possibly a death certificate or otherwise any information on record of her. Other than the connection to Clarence and Wells, there was really no information, so I kind of hit a dead end there. There was no father information that I could find on the document, and there was no further explanation as to what exactly made him a delinquent. This made me very interested to find out in 1916, 1917, what really made these teenagers delinquents. If it was the fact that child welfare laws were changing and there were no jobs for 14, 15, and 16-year-olds anymore, and this wasn't allowed, and if this was just acting out, or if this was just an ongoing issue with society having such a different view on delinquency than we do have today. Um, Before I began getting into too much detail on the child welfare laws as well as his document as a delinquent, I tried to connect more families since I was unable to find much information with his parents. Unfortunately, I was once again not able to find a ton of information on him. I was able to find out that 40 years later, he was approximately 40 years at this document that I found. His wife is named Louise at the time. Her age was 37 years old, and this is approximately the time of 1903. And that she was born. And then I found a son named William, approximately 16 years old, approximately born around the time of 1924. Um, this was basically most of the information that I could find on him family wise. There really wasn't a lot of family tree to look for. The things I did find were unfortunately other people with similar names or the same name. I tried to follow up on the son and did, in fact, not find out whether he was admitted into anything juvenile or otherwise. The wife, I'm still looking for information on, but I currently have not much to work with. But as far as looking into more of how the child welfare laws did change around this time and hoping to make a connection instead, since there was no real dead end with the family, I ended up finding out on a welfare law website through the Florida. I found out that